dad came from England, and my mother came from Ireland. Out there, they're called Stony Beaches, northeast of Moose Jaw. And they couldn't find homesteads those days, so they had to come up to Maple Creek to get a homestead. So they built a house and moved to Maple Creek.
So when you were growing up, were you born at the farm house?
Yeah.
Outside of Console?
Yeah, north of Console, about 10 miles.
Did a midwife come, or?
Yeah.
I never asked you which, the school that you went to was?
West Plains.
West Plains. Yeah.
I tell you where it is. It's old, those schools, you see. When the buses came in and took the kids to Console.
Mm.
And Laura's uncle and her sister Gladys, they bought that West Plains school. So that is on the place where Scott and Kimberly are living now.
And they use it for a garage, right, Grandpa? But you go inside, it's still got the chalkboards on the walls. The building we go to, Grandpa, for Mary Flat School, was that actually more than one school?
Originally, it was just the one school, Mary Flat. So they bought the 10-mile school, which is down by Wilkes Park.
What was the music like that you listened to?
It would be a violin and a saxophone and a banjo.
Wow. Oh, that'd be so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Laura's dad, he played the violin. And George Hall, he played the saxophone. And did be square dances.
Would there always be live music like that? A band playing? Or?
Yeah.
What sort of things did people do when you were younger in your teen years for fun?
Oh, they had used to be country picnics, especially one at the lake district.
That picnic at Cypress Lake, Grandpa, was that usually the 1st of July?
Well, as was the 12th of July, used to be arrangements put together.
People would gather.
It'd be kind of cute. It'd be a baseball game or something. So, horseshoe, pitch races.
Remember some of the foods that they served there?
Well, it'd be ice cream and watermelons.
Did they pack sandwiches, or did they have a big roast out, cookout, or?
I think people took their sandwiches with them. Spread sheepish, something on the ground for a tablecloth. Eat their lunch together.
Was it more than just once a summer, Grandpa, that those picnics would be?
It used to be about two or three.
Okay.
How did they preserve meat?
Had to be salted, cured.
Were there times too, Grandpa, that neighbors would have shared an animal so that you only had to store a little bit yourselves? What was that called?
During the 30s, I guess it was, they had what they call a beef ring.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. And, probably be 20 people in this beef ring. And they would take an animal, or each family would take an animal once a week to be butchered and divide up the parts so that everybody got that proper share of meat.
So it was probably rotated as to who got the roasts and who got the steaks and who got the stew meat.
Yeah, it worked
or the
around
liver.
the animal.
Okay.
Because there was no refrigeration. Every week you took an animal.
Mm-hmm. And who did the butchering in your neighborhood?
Neil Johnson.
Okay. So people just had to chase the animal there or haul it there, and he did the butchering, and
he got the hide and the liver apart.
I guess they didn't throw very much away, did they?
No. He used to say the only thing they lost from a pig was the squeal.
Well, that's really not throwing anything away.
American floods. Thank God sometimes had to drive the preacher up there.
And then how long were you two courting before you got married?
when you and Grandma got married, where was that held?
Oh, we were married in Maple Creek here.
There a party with it too?
No, we just got married and then had a supper in the Starker Bay and went to Howard for a honeymoon.
Would you have had lots of family and friends come to the wedding?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just your immediate families then?
No. She taught school in which was called the Oxford District.
Did Grandma have to go somewhere to get her teacher's certificate, Grandma?
Oh yes, she had to go to most normal school.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite thing about farming? What did you love the most about it?
I guess it was a gamble.
Yeah.
I like to gamble.
You don't need poker chips, eh?
No,
No.
got lots of gambling on it.
You don't need to go to Las Vegas, I guess.
No.
No.
No, the hardest part about the farming was the old style way of doing it. We didn't have any hydraulics.
All by hand.
Yeah, stooking and thrashing and hauling these bundles to the thrashing machine.
That's the good part about farming and the bad part about farming. And I was wondering if you might want to talk a little bit about one of your really good or your really hard years with your crops.
Well, we had a good crop in 1942, but we couldn't sell it very good. Had a pile outside, kind of spoiled. Used to sell them for big pieces, people in town. But then the times didn't get good until in the 50s. Things got better.
So that year, Grandpa, in 42, when you had a good crop but couldn't sell it, why was that?
Well, I don't know. They just wasn't any demand or something for it.
Was there a wheat board back then?
No, it was a grain exchange.
So it depended on the orders that the grain exchange had as to how much they could even buy, I suppose.
Yeah.
That would be disheartening to have a good crop and not.
Not bad was that.
Yeah.
Especially after surviving the 30s.
Yeah.
How do you distinguish between farming and ranching? What's the difference between farming and ranching, would you say?
Oh, well, it depends on the person, I guess. Some people like to farm. Some don't like to ranch. So that was around. I got two sons. One being it. Although he keeps cattle too.
Now, which son keeps cattle?
Strictly Brian, Donna, Bob and Shirley, they have both.
What's the difference between the two? Farming and ranching?
Farming is more seasonable, more free time in the winter that way. But raising cattle here, it's a full-time job. The year round.
So you would call yourself a straight farmer though, right?
I was more interested in straight farming. Used to keep cattle because
Thrashing?
Mm-hmm.
What's thrashing your crop?
You'd cut the binder and stick it, and these crews would come around the country with a machine and thrash it and get the grain away from it. Get going again for another year.
Thrashers were quite expensive, weren't they, Grandpa?
I guess so.
Not every farmer would own one, right?
There used to be one farmer would own a thrashing machine. He'd go and get a crew together and they'd
Do quite a few people's crops, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the big brandings too?
Yeah, there used to be a big branding at each one of these pastures, you know.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the examples of the different marks these cattle would have so that a rancher knew?
Oh, they might have a notch in the ear or something.
So the wrestlers really had to pay attention then, didn't they, to tell the brander, so the right brand got on each animal.
Did you have a brand?
Yeah.
What did it look like?
H-E, right rib.
H-E on the right rib?
Yeah.
How do you acquire a brand?
With a hot iron.
Ah, you put it on with a hot iron.
Yeah.
And how do you decide what symbol or what actual brand is your family's brand? How's that decided?
You applied to the Saskatchewan government for a brand.
Ah, okay.
So nobody else had that brand. You.
I didn't know you applied to the government. And they just send you a little picture of what you were supposed to put on your cows?
You could design one, could you not, Grandpa?
Yeah, you designed your own.
And as long as no one else had already...
Nobody else had that brand, you could use it.
So if you designed your own, you had to submit it to the government to keep on file, or?
Yeah.
What are some of the ways that your family or that you conserved moisture, conserved water?
Well, it was to work the soil at the right time. Work it as early as possible in spring and hold moisture for the next year.
And then what about at home, Grandpa? Did you have to haul water for all the things you needed water for at home?
Yeah. When my dad homesteaded out there, he thought he had a homestead on Battle Creek, you see.
Mm-hmm.
But when he got out to the seat of the land, it was across the road in another field.
Oh.
But they always, his nephew homesteaded that out of the field. They got the water from the creek, hauled it in barrels, carried it in pails to start with.
When you were a kid, did you haul your water?
We haul the water from the creek in barrels.
One person do it, or did you need more than one person at a time?
Oh, one person would do it.
Oh.
We had what they called a stone boat. It was laid there, water barrels on it, drive down to the creek and fill them.
Had that responsibility in your family of hauling the water?
Oh, Dad did most of that. I did some too. Couldn't seem to get a good well there. Used creek water mostly.
Yeah.
So you had to be very careful with using it. Mm-hmm.
How would a household use their water?
Not any more than possible, I guess.
Right.
As little as possible. Yeah.
And probably the water that you bathed in was then used to scrub the floor and that kind of thing, just to make
I guess so, yeah.
stretch it. And,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember what year you might have got plumbing in the house?
Well, it would be 1953 or so.
That would have changed things a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that have been just cold water to start with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no hot baths like today.
No.
Had to heat the water on the stove first if you wanted any hot water, probably.
Yeah, yeah. Every kitchen stove had a reservoir, they called it. They kept the water in that farmers.
I was gonna take this water and put it in Cypress Lake, but it was too much water and they couldn't handle it. So we had to move our house up a higher ground.
You moved the whole house?
Yeah.
Did the water get you up there?
No, we got there.
Oh, you could just watch the water then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a safe spot to watch it from.
Yeah.
Have there been other floods like that, or was that the worst one?
That was the worst one.
What are some of the ways that your family survived in those hard times? How did they make things work? What did they do?
Well, it was quite a ordeal to get equipment and horses and things to buy to farm with.
So were things bought as groups of neighbors sometimes, Grandpa, and shared?
Well, my father's case, a fellow hauled out, went to the North Country, and he sold my dad his equipment, you see, on time. Eventually paid for it, got started. And my uncles, they borrowed money from the credit financier to get by equipment and horses. It was quite a battle, really.
Did you see a lot of those homesteaders that came for that $10 quarter section? Were there a lot that left?
Oh, there was, yeah. A lot of those homesteaders went to the First World War and they didn't come back to pick up their homestead.
So they would just go fight in the war and then they'd leave their land behind?
Yeah.
Were you part of any of the irrigation project?
I didn't work on it, but I know a little bit about this Cypress Lake Dam.
Mm-hmm.
During the early 30s, the government was trying to get some relief for tryout farmers. So they just started this Cypress Lake Dam. They were going to build a dam at each end of it and take the floodwaters out of Battle Creek and Spring and store it in this lake. And that's still going. There's a lot of irrigatable land between Vidora and Consul.
Oh, okay.
This PFRA was developed, and they broke this land out, and it had to be leveled, and irrigation ditches put in.
When did the railroad come through?
I guess about 1914 or so.
So before that, how would people have?
Used to have to come to Maple Creek here, which wasn't a good trip those days with a team of horses or oxen or something.
When people go into town in those early days?
Gee, I don't know. It wouldn't be very often, I know it. I often wonder too how they had supplies enough from one time to another.
Yeah, how did they?
Yeah, they didn't have the big semi-trucks going down the highway, did they?
They didn't have any highways.
No, no highway either.
To make things more difficult, no highway, yeah.
Was a lot brought in by the train?
I guess it was, so the transportation they had was. Used to be a minister would come to different schoolhouses and preach a sermon on Sundays.
Oh, yeah. Because not every area would have its own church, probably, but they have the school.
Oh, a traveling minister.
Yeah.
Oh.
And did the people of the area provide him a house?
Yeah, he would, I think would board in different places
Oh, okay.
throughout the summer.
Mm-hmm. Was it only the summer months that he was around then?
Yeah.
And then what would he do in the winter?
I guess once he'd go back to school.
Was it usually the same person that came every summer, or did it
Not necessarily.
not
no.
necessarily?
That's really different than it is now, isn't it?
Yes and no. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was that something most families made a priority, was to get to the Sunday service?
Yeah.
Was there usually a piano at the school that someone played?
A piano or an organ.
Mm-hmm.
It's just generally an organ. Some lady in the district would be an organist, and she'd play for them.
Having such a full life so far, what would you say to your grandkids is a recipe? What are some of the things, a recipe for a good life, you would say?
Just to help one another out against.
Don't shy away from hard work.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it.
Yeah. You did what was supposed to be done.